guys, I'm Chuck, and those are my Charlie cards. And these right here, these are my fancy Charlie chips. In the town I live in, we have a happy face mowed right into the side of a hill. That's why this is Happy Face Holdem. The goal, log 500 hours of 2-3 no limit Holdem and have more Charlie chips at the end of the session than we started with. Let's get into the action. All right, guys, here we are entering the Bicycle Hotel and Casino in Bell Gardens, California, LA. We're going to play some outdoor poker on a chilly day on November 23rd. We buy in for 300 at the 2-3 table, and we're going to kick it off. Sitting in the cutoff, this is our very first hand we're dealt on the day. When we look down at Ace, Queen, suited. From the cutoff, this is a great place to be. Typically, I always 3-bet Ace, Queen, but an early position player opened it up to 15. So I just flat on this one. Again, first hand, know nothing about any of the players on the table, and an earlier position player in under the gun jams his whole stack in for $74 more. The original raiser decides that he's going to make the call, and I have a decision to make. Do I want to 3-bet this now and get stacks in, or just flat? Again, I know nothing about the players. The second player to call there, young Asian player, typically aggressive. I've seen him around before, and from what I know, he's a good player. So I decided to flat on this one with 230 in the pot. We're going to go 3 ways to a flop. And I should know better at these stakes. When players get big stacks in pre-flop, they typically have dominating hands, aces, kings, queens, or ace-king. Flop comes down, king high, pretty static board, a little bit wet with the clubs out there, but that Asian player does bet out for 200 pot size bet. I have to fold. He does flip over ace king, and he takes it down with trips. All right, it's okay. We're moving on to the next hand with about 200 in our stack, starting this one on the button. Like I said, it was a chilly day in LA. Wait time was about a half hour. Not too bad for a Monday. All right, looking down at 8-9 suited, early position. This is turned out to be a loose, aggressive player I have been watching play. Open the action. I decided to flat on the button. Probably better 3-bet hand than flat defend on the button. I should have 3-bet it. I didn't. With 45 in the pot, heads up, flop comes down, deuce 7 queen, 2 diamonds on board. She puts out a $55 bet, so she over bets the pot, which kind of tells me she has the queen. We're going to lay it down. Just getting smashed in our first 2 hands we're reviewing on the vlog here. But hey, it's all right. This one we look down at ace 4 suited in the hijack. Again, probably a great hand to squeeze on, but when the action is folded around to me, I open to 15. The player on the button decides to 3-bet to $45. Well, not a whole lot more. It's $30 to call, but out of position. If anything, I need to 4-bet here or fold. Those are really my only 2 choices. I've already been beat up in a couple hands, so I'm just going to wait for a better spot. It's turning out to be a very aggressive table, which I like. So here I'm going to make my adjustment and hope to pick a better spot as we move on to the next hand. So you can see I'm sitting on about 160 now. My stack's just been dwindling away, and I'm in the big blinds. When I look down at pocket 9s, finally a nice playable hand. I like this one. That younger Asian player opened the action to $15 in this one. And with this particular hand in the big blind, it's time for me to play back at him. So I do put in the 3-bet, and that's going to be enough to take this one down. I think this was the right spot to 3-bet because he opened from the button. He could be opening very wide. Really any range of hands on the button will play in this manner when it's folded around. So this was the right play, right move, and we're going to make just a few bucks as we move on to the next hand. All right, we're sitting in the hijack on this one with about 160 in our stack. It's still just dwindling on the day. When we look down at the pocket rockets, we have 1 red, 1 black ace, and we open the action to $15. Just want to throw a little rope out there. No reason to get aggressive. There's justification for opening a little bit bigger. with big hands, but again, I think it forks your range and allows players to catch on if you do it consistently when you raise with bigger hands, raise bigger with bigger hands and raise smaller with smaller hands. So I like to keep it pretty consistent. There were no limpers in this case, so my standard open to 15 was appropriate. So 3 ways to the flop with 45 in, 5, 9, 7 with 2 hearts on the board. This is a very wet, very dynamic board. This is almost a place where I could check, but I have to barrel at least once here. Putting in a bet for 40, almost a pot-sized bet to see where I'm at, and I get 2 callers. You know, after I get 2 callers on a board like that, I have to make a decision to either barrel all 3 streets and keep telling a big story, or just give up. The turn card's about the worst card I could see, a 10 of hearts, but I'm not going to give up. I'm married to this hand like a lot of players do. I will say in the past several sessions, I have folded pocket aces twice now, and I'm very proud of that because that's something that I would have never have done early on when I was playing poker, really before I started studying. One of those hands that's just really hard to get away from. So anyways, the first player makes the call, and the second player goes in the tank for a while before he ultimately puts in the call as well. So now we're still 3 ways to the river with 315 in the pot. I mean, this pot's getting big, and it comes down to king of diamonds. So I have to imagine one of my players here has hit the flush and the other one's on a flush draw or 2 pair or a set. You know, when it checks, I'm just giving up on this one. And the early position player does show 9, 10 hitting 2 pair on the turn. So called it on the flop, pot-sized bet with top pair. I can't blame him for that. No idea what the other player was on. He's definitely frustrated, as am I. But that's all right. All right, we reload back to $300, so we're in for another $200. Total in for the day for $500 on the session. See if we can't run this baby up. All right. So on the button with ace queen offsuit, 3 limpers ahead of me. So again, like I said earlier, it's typically a 3-bet hand, and on the button is a great place to do that. We bump it up to $45. So we have 60 in the pot. As the action moves around to the table, that hand that the player that tank called and looked frustrated in the last hand will ultimately make the call here, and we're going to go heads up to a flop with 100 in the middle. And the flop comes down king, queen, 7, rainbow. Pretty static flop on this one. I'm going to continue for $20, and we are going to get a call. Second pair, not a bad place to continuation bet. Got to see where I'm at. Really, it was a small bet because I wanted to name my own price, but not necessarily check behind. So he checks again on the turn, which is a deuce of diamonds, bringing in a backdoor diamond draw. I make a small bet for 35 this time, and he makes the call. River comes with 3 hearts. Total brick. Doesn't change a thing, but I'm afraid at this point he's got a king. On these dry, static flops like this, when a player calls 1 or 2 streets, you can typically put them on top pair. So I likely should have given up on the turn and just check the river. But again, wanted to name my own price. And as it turns out in this one, we are good. And we're going to take down a nice little pot, getting ourselves almost unstuck on the day. All right, in this one, we're in the small blind. We're back up to 450. Remember, we're in the game for 500, so almost unstuck. We look down at pocket 9s from the small blind. When the action is three limpers ahead of me in this one, I decide to 3-bet this one and see if we can't isolate and go heads up to the flop. Well, the player from the previous hand that was frustrated does make the call without too much hesitation, and we're going to go heads up, as I had hoped we would do, with 75 in the middle. And just gin on the flop. 9, 4, 4 rainbow. We have this whole board locked up, so I'm going to check. There's really nothing in his hand that he could have to continue with, and he checks behind. The turn comes down to 10 of diamonds, and it's time to put some money in the pot. I don't want it to check through again. So he reaches for some chips, and he's going to min raise it to 50. So here's where I make a mistake. With only about 125 left in his stack. I should have just pushed right here and gotten the money in the middle. Probably going on for a diamond draw. Maybe he's got ace 10. This was my mistake in the hand. But anyways, I decided to flat. At the moment, my thinking was I didn't want to scare him off. But now I don't want it to go check on the river, so I have to name a price that I think he's going to call, and this is why I think I should have gotten all the money in on the turn. So I do put out a bet of $75, and he's going to pretty much snap call it when I roll over my pocket nines, who are obviously good, flopping the full house. It's nice when you flop the nuts. We're going to take it down, but I think we could have had his whole stack, but we left him $40 or $50 behind to play with in the next hand. But anyways, it's always good to analyze the hands. I can see where I made my mistake. Hopefully I learned from it and play it next time, play it better next time. But in the meantime, we're going to stack up some Charlie chips, and we're going to take a look at a mid-session update.
What do you think of the new mask? Yeah, pretty cool. Wife got that for me. Anyways, beautiful down here. Having a nice little sunset right now. Just gorgeous outside. Thought I'd take a little break from the table. So I came down here, I don't know, I think it was around 2 o'clock, 2:30, and got started with that ace-queen hand and donked off 75 bucks. Pocket nines won a few bucks back, but it's just been a pretty down session most of the way. Well, we just had those pocket nines and flopped the nuts, which is great. Love it when we flop the nuts. Doesn't get any better than that. So I'm up now. We're in for 500. We started with 3. We chipped up when we got down to 100, so we were back up to 300, and now we're sitting on about 650. So it's going pretty good. Pretty happy now. It wasn't before. Pretty happy now. It's chilly out here tonight. It's a cool night. They do have the heaters turned on, which is great. I'm going to go back in, warm up, and bring you guys some more hands. Oh, hey, don't forget, if you made it this far, like the video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe down there, subscribe while you're at it. Really helps the channel out a ton. I really appreciate it. It looks like we're hitting 1,000 subscribers any day now, and I still don't know what I want to give away. Well, I know what I want to give away, but it's a matter of having it made. So more to come on that, but we will be doing a 1,000 subscriber giveaway at or shortly after 1,000 subscribers. So I really appreciate it, guys. I really greatly appreciate you all being here for my journey.
All right, moving on to the last hand of the night. So after this hand, a police pursuit started and the news app alerted me to it. And I'm a little bit of a pursuit junkie. So rather than filming any more hands, I did watch a police pursuit. And you know how it always ends. They pull over, they give up. I don't even remember. This guy actually ended up driving in an underground parking structure and got away. So here in the cutoff with my pocket queens, I make it 15. I get 1 caller, the blinds fold out. We're heads up to a flop that comes down king, jack, 8 with 2 clubs on the board. My villain in this one checks the action to me. I'm going to put out a continuation bet, and that's going to take it down. We continue to play for a few more hours, ending the result up to 34 after 6 hours and 46 minutes for a $35 hourly, a little over 10 big blinds an hour. So happy with the result. Thanks for being here, guys. Until next time, hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving.